welcome to the Clashing of Steel. So today I shall fail, as I have done countless times before, but I will flip it around, as I usually do. Well, since I am playing Alexander, it might not be that hard to flip it, even with the remnants, because the impact damage is just devastating. As it often happens, I do run into problems with my multitasking and being aware on different fronts. But I fortunately managed to be somewhat successful here. Although this charge is actually somewhat of a failure because it's between two units, while I should have focused down one a bit more aggressively. Plus, these archers aren't giving me any slack. And of course, it is Miltiades who is coming after me. Oh god. Of course my losses will be huge now that I'm even running away. I probably should have started running few seconds after I charged into them. I do have my second unit, I could have used that to mess with those spearmen, but I kinda feared to get stuck between the pikes. Although I took some big losses, I am still very capable, even with that unit. The charge impact of Alexander's hammer is just devastating, and the charge impact of the Greek cavalry is even more so. But then again, if you can do it something like these horsemen here did, I think it was Romans, probably Scipio, it kinda doesn't matter what specific cavalry are. As long as you get the drop on the opponents, you are pretty much winning. Of course, there are a few exceptions, like charge against the spearmen. You might get the drop on them, you might hit them from the front or from the rear, but as long as they phalanx and turn towards you, you still have to get away somehow. And, oh yeah, they built stakes, of course. Wait, yeah, I know what is going to happen. This is gonna be lovely. A small moment to recalculate your options, and yeah, blind rage it is. That is just so sad. Oh, and they surprised me here. But no worries. I may have lost that charge, and they are going after ranged units, although there is a unit of swordsmen defending them as well. This gives me another great idea. If I can force them out from two sides, it might be very interesting. Yeah, now they're afraid, and they have only two options. They can either try and go around, maybe get hammered by swordsmen, and second option is coming straight into my trap. I can understand why he went after those archers. He was hoping to get a drop on them, take them down as fast as possible. But then again, that location was like a horrible trap. There's only two roads in, two roads out. And basically, both of them were pretty much blocked. I know he didn't see into the bushes, but he should have tried something like sending one unit in from the front and one from the back. Even if he would have lost a unit or two, at least one of them or two of them would have escaped. But because he was stacking units, I know it is easier to play that way, it is easier to manage all of the 3 units as one unit, but then again it is a lot riskier if you mess up, like this player here did. And as much as I would love to engage these javelins, they have dropped down their caltrops, which I already hate. And I kinda fail here in every way. Yeah. I get too greedy and overconfident in my abilities, and I get harassed and destroyed by the javelins. I didn't realize the mistake I made, and at this time I thought I could double down. Too confident, too greedy, too eager. Sadly, I waste basically 2 units here. The big problem is that I'm sending them in one by one, which I didn't realize at the moment, and my charge is of course directed in the wrong direction. This is horrible for me, and that is as well. But after you get punished, it is time to reevaluate your tactics. I got punished rather hard. I am reevaluating my options, and since I have basically 1 unit left, it is a lot easier for me to handle it instead of all 3 or 2 units. I only have to focus around it. So I kinda understand why those horsemen back there killed themselves. Well, I mean, I don't understand them, but I can understand why he's stacking his units. It is easier to manage and control them. in some cases it is very optional with the cavalry. Horsemen can easily be one of the only unit types you might want to stack. And even here I get a small drop on these spearmen, in hopes of trying to keep them away from the, well, archers. And at the same time I also want my troops to get out of there with minimal losses. So I'm kind of positioning myself in moving out in different directions where my horsemen would not have to push so heavily through the spears. But seeing as I have decent amount of troops left, I can easily harass these spearmen. I can still be very useful. And, well, these spearmen thought they were, well, getting a drop on me. I tried to poke them, I tried to harass them. That is the main thing I can do right now. I mean, I can still flank opponents, but it is better if I would not waste my troops, unless it is extremely necessary. That gives me an option to still be viable in extreme situations. Plus, seeing that I am playing horsemen who have not much in the form of defense, and most of their offense is based on charge impact, it is better if I use them properly and in key locations. Right now, it's probably happening one of these key locations. These spearmen will get flanked, and I can support in flanking them from the rear, or perhaps even slightly from the one side. This right here is enough to just rout them, and of course, Anvil will give us better chances to be safe. Another important thing to note right now is that team balance is very equal right now. We have both suffered ridiculous casualties, and actually opponents are also leading because of these unnecessary aggressions through the middle. The middle area of the map can often be a death trap, in this map at least. Although there have been many marvelous pushes through it that have worked, the moment you push through it and are focusing on either side behind the rock, you no longer have any catapult support, or maybe in some cases even ranged unit support. So doing it needs to be very specific, and actually you need to be cooperative with your team members as it is usual. But what actually makes offense viable in that middle area is the sheer size of it. It is extremely wide, so you have a lot of maneuverability in there. That is the only thing that is working for that middle-ish tight location. Well, it's not tight, but it is sort of a big bottleneck. One would think my remnants are pretty much useless right now. Well, maybe not useless, but their value is rather insignificant. I may catch up with disengaging infantry, I may force certain opponents to act accordingly, but everything else, I am not capable in a fight, at least not head on. Supporting it, in many cases, I am very viable. Even against, well, near full health units. There are actually two things that I don't like right now. Actually, a combination of them. Slingers and infantry. I can't go close to slingers because infantry will most likely defend them. And the other problem is, if I scout the infantry, the slingers will most likely try and come and get me. So I'm in this horrible situation right now as I see it. And I'm pulling back towards my base. That is the only reason why I'm not at the other side of the map. I don't want my impulses telling me to go after the slingers when I will eventually die of a ridiculous, pointless death. But then again, I want to be at the side of my friendly troops, for whom I can scout the side, at least carefully scout it. I mean, if I see some opponents going some way, that's all the information I need. I don't need to see where they are advancing, because I can most likely predict it. And right here, because there aren't any slingers here left, and surprisingly enough infantry is going around them, the main two things I am still afraid of are the spears and slingers. Because their infantry is moving together in this direction, and well, some of it is back there, and some of it is going behind our base, it gives me a view of the situation. It means that their ranged units aren't as well defended as we might think, or perhaps even totally left undefended. But then again, I can't leave this location because there is such a huge number of troops massing nearby. And our catapults need defending, as well as our infantry needs support. The biggest focus right now is to mess with the spearmen, not let them to get to destroy the stakes. That is my current focus. But the moment they turn their back, I can support my infantry, and this is the moment where I can be utilized once again. After the charge, I don't want to stay inside there too long. I mean, it's important that I should rout them, but then again I need to be careful if the routing damage or the moral damage is not enough. But fortunately it was, so now I can shift my focus and hopefully scout for the catapults. But then again, I might have another option. Because there are a few infantry troops left on the opponent's base, as you see, or near their base, I have highly possible reasons to believe that the ranged units are undefended. So I might get an excellent drop on the slingers, which I actually do. And almost in a near perfect direction, and they even turn their back towards me, which is even more excellent. And my task is done. I have taken down one of the biggest threats in the opposing team. I have helped and tried to support my catapults. I have helped to take down spearmen. I have helped to kill horsemen. I did fail to, well, take down javelins, but arrogance and greed was my reward for being so successful at the beginning of the match. This is most of my usefulness in this match. We take down most of the other remaining swordsmen, infantry units, and we slightly even harass the catapults, who actually survived till the end of the match. Sadly, I did not notice them while I was coming back from killing the slingers, but I could have taken down a unit of catapults as well. And our catapult is just making sure that we have won. As long as they don't focus us or towards us to take down catapults, we have the advantage. They could have defended their javelins, which could have caused a lot of problems. But instead, as it is usual, they want to rush it, they want to do their own thing, and they don't like to be forced, or players don't like to be forced into doing something that they don't like. And as usual, I try to break the Testudo, but since Catapult is shooting at them, I don't think it is even needed. Well, since there is nothing more interesting, let's take a look at the scoreboard. So, surprisingly enough, I am the best in my team, or at least by the scoreboard. I need some offense and some support. Catapult did also rather well, although I can't recall seeing the Miltiades with his spears and horsemen. But I do remember opposing teams versus Vercingetorix, who died in the beginning of the match, where I got my confidence and my aggression and thought I was the king of the battlefield. Yeah, that took me down a notch after that one. And of course, javelins were played by Germanicus, to whom I lost 2 of my horsemen, basically. Horseman unit, that is. Although the slingers did not surprise me at the end of the scoreboard, their slingers were very stationary defensive. Although I can understand what they probably planned. If we should go offensive, they will try and hit everything in the mid. But that didn't work out. I also harassed Miltiades and his spearmen, at least slightly. They also caused me some problems, but fortunately, at least even with one unit, I was able to help and flip this match around. A lot of Germanicus players in their team. I do remember the first or the top player in the opposing team, but I can't recall the second guy. I mean, I at least know the top player whose remnants were running around the place. But okay, this was pretty much it. Even when I get hammered massively or with my overconfidence or in whichever way, I can still flip the match around, and it doesn't mean that you're useless if most of your troops are dead. There are so many ways to be useful. You just need to try. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.